Good evening, dear friends.
Good evening. Good evening.
How are you, Yochanan?
Baruch Hashem. Can't complain. Baruch
Oh,
Hashem.
Chazdei Hashem. How are you, Jack?
של המקושש, זה היה בט"ו, ואני יודע, בכ' בחודש סיוון. אז מה זה...
Hello, Rabbi. How are you?
Yes, Baruch Hashem, I hear your voice. Sasson, how are you?
Baruch Hashem. I put down the radio. I was listening to a show from Israel.
Oh, okay, it sounded like it. Yes, okay, very nice. Ari, how are you? Okay. Hayom Kotzav, Amalachim Aruba. I mean, this is like all year we're waiting for the Parsha, which is probably one of the juiciest stories and most relevant stories. And I think this year is more relevant than ever before. The story of the Meraglim, the story of the spies. Moshe Rabbeinu sends them, and they're on a mission for 40 days in Eretz Yisrael, and they come back, and they report exactly what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, and they say, but Efes Ke'aza'om, that this nation is way too strong for us to conquer. We won't be able to conquer it. And the Jews cry. They say, we won't make it there. I mean, every story in Torah, there's a Zohar that says that Torah Malashon Hara. I mentioned this the other day at the Kinus HaShluchim this year. Rabbi Jacobson said he did a search. Rabbi Simon Jacobson said he did a search. What was the phrase that Rebbe said the most at all Farbrengens? It was Torah Malashon Hara. Every story is a lesson. Every story in the Torah is a lesson. It's a Zohar. It's a brought in the Guraya, in the name of the Radak, in the beginning of Parshas Bereshis. But it seems like this story has a very strong relevance for us today. I mean, Israel is about to make a historic decision about annexing the territories of this that is the cradle of the Tanakh, Yehuda and Shomron, the lands of Yehuda and Shomron, and it seems to be a green light from the United States of America, and Israel really does need to walk between the raindrops, and it's not easy to walk between the raindrops. Accepting America's offer of annexation of Yehuda and Shomron while not agreeing for the other parts of the agreement, and even though the Eibishter makes miracle and shows the Eden the way, there are naysayers, there are meraglim, there are people that say it's too tough, we can't do it. But we know the end of the story, that the meraglim, their vision does not stand, and the vision of Yeshua and the vision of Kolav, that's the vision that stands. And hopefully that the people that are making the decisions in Israel now will have read this week's Parsha. For us, it's the coming week's Parsha, and at Yisrael, it's been the past week's Parsha, and take the appropriate lessons from the meraglim, not to be scared of Efes Ke'azam, from how strong and how chutzpahdik this nation might be, and how the Goyim are, but to realize that this is a gift that the Eibishter gave it to us. These territories are ours, and they're there to protect the lives of all Jews. And therefore, now at this unbelievable time when the Eibishter is making miracles upon miracles and allowing Eretz Yisrael to have this gift on a silver platter, that Israel should take this historic opportunity and capitalize on it. When the Meraglim came back, they said everyone was dying. There was a pandemic going on in Israel. And the Meforshim says how foolish they were. There was a miracle the Eibishter made that the people should be busy, that there is a pandemic, and they couldn't pay attention to the spies that were there to catch them and to capture them. The world is busy now with Corona, COVID-19. There's the other Arab states are shaking in their boots because of Iran. They all have their own sorts. They don't care. The Arabs don't care. They'll be happy that the Yidden should do the annexation of Yehuda v'Shomron v'Shalom al Yisrael v'Shalom al Yishmael. So the Eibishter is delivering it on a silver platter, and hopefully that the right decisions will be made. And amidst Hashem, we shouldn't have to wait long, and the decisions should be made. The Melech HaMashiach b'vish Mashiach Tzidkenu. Okay, we're doing a sicha now in Parsha Shelach Lechem Meraglim, Parsha Shelach, which is, if you have the copies, thank you very much, Rabbi Yochanan, for sending it out. If you have the copies, that's fine. Otherwise, you could have Lekut Sichas Parsha Shlach, Sicha Hey, or if you have the old set of Lekut Sichas, it's Chelik Yud Gimel, page 43. The name of the Parsha is Shlach, and everything is Hashgacha Pratis. So that has the name, as we know from Tanya, the name expresses the idea of a thing. Why is it that the name of this Parsha is Shlach? There's so many stories in the Parsha, and there's so many mitzvahs. True, every story, there's no stories. The Torah is not a book of stories. But there's so many mitzvahs starting from the beginning till the end of the Parsha, and at the end of the Parsha, the mitzvah of tzitzis, which Erisim is Chartam, is called mitzvahs Hashem. If you think that tzitzis, you remember all the mitzvahs of Hashem. The word tzitzis is 600. Tzadik Yud is 100 plus 100 plus 400, 600. The 5 knots and the 8 strings is 613, like Rashi says. So why is it that obviously there's a lesson in every part of the parsha, but what's so unique about the beginning of the parsha, the story of the Meraglim, that the name of the parsha is Shlach? So, Zok the Rebbe, this is also a talk that the Rebbe gave and the year Tav Shalom Beis to the girls that were graduating. Very beautiful and simple biur on the story of the Meraglim. What happened with the spies? What happened? They were kosher people. They came back. It seemed that they fulfilled their mission. They just said the story of how it is. That they're very strong people. Big cities. All is true. They saw the giants there. They felt like chagavim, like grasshoppers compared to these giants. They were sent to see Oretz Mahiyas, Amayoshev Allah, Achozaku, Aroch, Umaorim, Abenachim, to check out the land. And they answered. They said, they gave an honest and full report. They gave an honest and full report. What was the sin? Where did they go wrong? What is the story of the Meraglim? And the answer, in a nutshell, is Moshe Rabbeinu sent him on a mission to find out how, not if we should conquer the land. In the mind of Moshe Rabbeinu, it's Pashat. We are going to conquer the land because the Eibush said. But because Lo Yovid Kuchabrichu Nisa Lamagona, as is brought in the Drosha Saran, Drush Ches, the Eibush doesn't do a miracle for no reason. The Eibush wants that the holiness should penetrate the Teva, like the biur that the Chassidim gave about the Alter Rebbe and the boat. He stopped the boat miraculously in order to stay Kiddush Levana. And then he allowed the boat to continue. And even though he was in jail and under very strict circumstances, he requested that they stop the boat so he could stay Kiddush Levana. So when they refused, he stopped the boat miraculously. But then he allowed the boat to continue going. And then he requested that the captain stopped the boat, and the captain said he would do it if he gives him a bracha, and the Rebbe said, yeah, he should write it down for him. So Chassidim said, if the Alter Rebbe could stop the boat, he stopped the boat and say Kiddush Levana. But no, because that would not be the Kiddush of doing a mitzvah. A mitzvah has to be done in Teva. The Kiddush has to be brought into the Teva. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted that they should do as natural as possible. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to figure out what's the easiest way and what's the most worthwhile way to conquer the land. The question and the mission was not if we should conquer. The question was how we should conquer. What is B'derech HaTeva, the safest route and the best route, the most successful way of doing the mission? The problem with the Meraglim was that they added their own conclusion. They said, "Loi nucha lalalas alom ki chozaku mimenu." They came to a conclusion. They said, because we see this whole spectacular show of force in Eretz Yisrael, we can't.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
In our days, modern days, any Meraglim from any country, when they send them to find out about the other country, even though they give them mission, do this, they do their own, everything that they can draw from this country and bring it back to the place that they have to bring. It's different than when Moshe Rabbeinu sent them and tell them, do this and that's it, don't do something else. And they did. So in our days, 2000s, any country send any Meraglim, it's a different story at all. Take Eli Cohen, he was commanded to do this, and this, and he did more than this is why he got caught.
Right, but the truth is it's a good point you're making, but it's not the same. Eli Cohen did more than he was asked to do. He did better. But with their adding a conclusion, they totally deviated from their mission. The mission wasn't to explain if we can do it. Moshe Rabbeinu, in his mind, it was obvious that we could do it. If the Eibusha said to do it, we could do it. The question is how to do it. So how? As they say, there's 10 ways to skin a cat. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't care what their presentation will be. If we'll go from the north, we'll go from the south, we'll go from all three sides, we'll attack them this way, that way. That wasn't a problem. They had a lot of leeway. But they changed, in one sentence, they changed their whole mission. They turned it on his head. Moshe never asked that they should give opinions if we could conquer. Their question was how we should conquer.
And they make one more mistake. They told the whole nation what they're thinking about Eretz Yisrael. If they will come to Moshe and Aaron or to Moshe alone, say, Moshe, you send us this and this, the report. Do for everyone to the report. But they went straight to everybody, and this is why till today we are suffering because of that.
Right, exactly. That's another detail in the story, but a very important one. Had they been genuinely concerned about the mission of Moshe Rabbeinu, they would have first went privately to the tent of Moshe Rabbeinu and maybe to Moshe and Aaron and say, look, we're going to give a report to the people, but we're perplexed. Rabbeinu Moshe, could you please tell us? I mean, what are you thinking? Exactly. So, to summarize, the mistake of the Meraglim was, the Moshe Rabbeinu's mission was how to conquer. And they added, and they decided to give their own thoughts if we can conquer. And the lesson that Rebbe says in Avodas Hashem is simple. A Yid has to know that if the Eibishter gave me a mission in life, it has to be clear in my mind that the Eibishter does not ask me to do something I can't do. If a person builds a machine, say, if a person builds a machine, a person built a vehicle, and the company is going to put a sticker telling you how much pounds this vehicle can carry. They don't put more because you're going to break the machine. Don't put more, you're going to break the machine. And now a human being can make a toss. They could think that this machine could take this load of work, and it really can't take that much. It could take less. It can make a mistake. But the Melech Malcham Lochim, the Eibishter, when he builds a machine, and he says what the capacity of the machine is, and he tells you how to operate the machine, is Einem Avakesh Ela Lefi Koichen. If the Eibishter says, listen Reuven, listen Shimon, listen Levi, this is your mission in life. How do you know that's your mission? Because that's what the Eibishter puts right in front of you. And you know that this is your mission in life. A person can't say, I can't do it. I can't. I'm too weak to do it. I give up. A person has to know that Eina Kodesh Baruch Hu mevakesh ela lefi koichem. The Eibishter knows the koyach of the machine, the capacity. Just like a human being won't try to overload a machine he built. The Eibishter for sure not. As I said, a person could make a mistake and burn out the machine, but the Eibishter makes no mistake. The Gemara says about Rava. The Gemara says it in Shabbos Daf Peiches. That Rava, this great sage Rava, was sitting and he was learning. He was on the road and he was learning. And he was so engrossed in his thoughts that he had his finger under the heel of his shoe. Bang, 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 bang. He was totally, his thoughts were so, he was so engrossed in his thoughts. He was so deeply immersed in his thoughts. He didn't even realize that with the heel of his shoe, he's banging his finger and it's bleeding. He was trying to understand Tif, Agemori. He was trying to understand Aviyas Abaya Verova. He was trying to understand what Abaya Verova was saying. And there was a tztuki that came by and he mocked him. He said, "Am a paziza the kadmis so pomaichu ladu naichu ago adayim bebisu saichu kaimaisu." The tztuki said, "You guys are a bunch of clowns. You're a bunch of fools. Well, even when the Eibusha gave you the Torah, you should have asked what's in there. See, if could you do it or can't do it. Maybe you can't do it. How did you?" So Nasav and Ishmael, we'll do. Then we're going to listen. Maybe you're taking upon yourself an obligation. You're taking upon yourself a schayvus that you can't even do. Who told you you can do it? Who told you you can do it? How do you know you could do it? Rava answered. It says, Tumas Yeshorim Tanchim, that the tmimus of the straight people, that will guide them. V'salav boigdim yeshadim, and the crookedness of traitors will bring them down, down, down. In other words, he said that we trust in the Eibishter. We trust that the Eibishter built the machine, the Eibishter give us the manual and tell us how to use the machine. We trust him. We don't have to know Nishma. We have to know Nasa first. So that's the lesson we learn from the Meraglim. The lesson is that if the Moshe Rabbeinu tells us to do it, the Rebbeinu Shalom tells us to do it, the question is not if we could do it. The question is how we're going to do it. So since it's like the story with the Alter Rebbe in the boat. If you have no choice, you need to use a miracle. But otherwise, we try to bring the Kedusha to permeate the Teva itself, the nature itself. If you're gonna bring out the magic wand, you'll wave the magic wand. So you picked up the world, but you didn't bring down the Kedusha into the world. You made the world should be Ois world, but we want there should be a world, there should be Kedusha in the world, there should be set in the world, in the place of nature. That's the meaning of Dira B'Tachtonim. So that's the reason for Yasura, that we should search and look out how to do it. Not if we could do it, how to do it.
Rabbi, I had a question.
Yeah.
With Maaseh Egel, we see Moshe Rabbeinu praying for the Jewish people, and it makes a difference. I'm trying to remember, in this case, do we see Moshe Rabbeinu praying to reverse this decree?
Moshe Rabbeinu tried each time as much as he could. There's no question. Moshe Rabbeinu tried in each case. I guess Moshe Rabbeinu knew which buttons he can press.
Moshe Rabbeinu knew before that he said, Yeshua, I'm giving you a yud. I want you.
Yeah, okay. But that's a question also. What was he thinking? So back in the Sikha. The Rebbe says that we find that it says about Eretz Yisrael, Eretz Hashem, Eine Hashem Alakecha b'Mereish Shana v'ad Achris Shana. What does it mean? The Shkocha Pratis is everywhere in the world, but Israel is unique. What's unique in Israel? You see today. You see, Israel ends up being the safest place. Funny thing, Israel is the safest place. But what does it mean spiritually? It means that in Eretz Yisrael you see the holiness. And you see it in the land. That's why the mitzvah, trumas, meiseres, in Eretz Yisrael, it's Eretz Asherotza Lasas Eretz. You see the holiness in the land itself. Every time a Yid does a mitzvah, that's the idea of a mitzvah. Mitzvah is Eretz Asherotza Lasas Eretz. A mitzvah is that we bring into the soil, into the land, into the Gashmis of this world, the Kedusha Al Yoina. We bring into the Eretz. We bring you the Tzayin Koina, the Ratzon the Eibishter. So really, every mitzvah is really entering Eretz Yisrael. Similar to the idea that the Tzemach Tzedek said, Mach do Eretz Yisrael. Make here Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe says that's why we find that there's Sheish Schidus, right? We have to mention that we went out of Mitzrayim, that we got the Torah on the way, Miriam, a few things that say Sheish Schidus. It says if it's alti galti lakachti veivesi. Well, why isn't it one of the Schidus that we went into Eretz Yisrael? Because that's not something you have to mention once a day. Every time you do a mitzvah, like you're entering Eretz Yisrael through doing the mitzvah. Every mitzvah he does, he's entering Eretz Yisrael. So the idea of sending out spies is to figure out, before we do a mitzvah, you have to figure out, it's like Chazal say, Lo Amaretz Chosed. You have to figure out how to do the mitzvah. You have to send out spies, how to do it, not if to do it. If we have a shlichus in life, if we see this is our mission in life, there's no question if we could do it. Obviously we could do it. But every time before we do it, we have to look at what's the best way to do it. B'derech hateva, naturally, what's the best way to do it? And then there's another lesson, not only about the action of the mitzvah, but also in the kavanah of every mitzvah. Before a yid does a mitzvah, a person has to think about not only the action of how to do the mitzvah, but the idea of the mitzvah. It says in Chassidus that every mitzvah has a kavanah klolis and a kavanah pratis. We spoke about the Shabbos by Shalashudas. There is the general thing that we're accepting the yoke of heaven, and there is the detail of every mitzvah. There is the general bracha that we make before every mitzvah. Before the mitzvah, we say, Asher kedeshonu b'mitzvoisav v'tzivonu. Every mitzvah, we have to realize before we do the mitzvah, Chazal say that we have to make before you do a mitzvah, you have to make a bracha oiver l'asiyasam. Before. Why is it so important before you do the mitzvah to make the bracha? Because in the bracha, we're thinking about what is a mitzvah. Every mitzvah is Asher kedeshonu b'mitzvoisav. Just like the Alter Rebbe explains, that just like Kiddushin, that a woman becomes connected to her husband through the ring he gives her, and he says, Areim Mekudeshes. Li. So through every mitzvah, Yid becomes Mekudeshes to the Eibishter. And through every mitzvah, Yid is tzafts of a chibur, but Yid becomes one with the Eibishter. And that's why before you do the mitzvah, you have to contemplate about this, that we're becoming one with the Eibishter himself. We have to realize that we're becoming one with the Eibishter. And that's the V'yasuru es Eretz Canaan. That's the job. Also before we learn Torah. There has to be Baruch about Torah Tchila. Why is it so important? It says that Alma of the Oretz, that the Churban was because they didn't make a bracha about Torah Tchila. Why is it so important to make it? I learned Torah. I did the mitzvah. Why is it so important to make the bracha before I do the mitzvah, before I learn Torah? Before I learn Torah, I have to think about it's nois in the Torah. Lashon Hoiv, the Eibush is giving the Torah now. When I'm learning Torah now, the Torah is the Eibush is talking through my mouth. Before I do a mitzvah, I have to realize Kedeshanu, that through the mitzvah I become Kodosh, and through the mitzvah I become Tzafts of a Chibur, one with the Eibishter. And that's the job before I do a mitzvah. Again, not if I could do the mitzvah. Sure, we could do the mitzvah. Sure, I could do my shlichus in life, but how am I going to do the mitzvah? And also in the kavanah of the mitzvah, losur, vayasur es Eretz Canaan, to think about the losur, lisboinen, to think about the kavanah and the tachlis of the Torah, the mitzvahs that I'm doing. And we need the Shelach lecha, the Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Moshe in every generation, and the Moshe Rabbeinu in our neshama, to give us the koyach that before every mitzvah, before the Torah, we learn the vayasuru, that we think about how we do the mitzvah, not if, how we do the mitzvah, and how to experience the kavanah of the mitzvah, to realize it's not just we're doing something. We're doing something, we're doing now the inyan of mitzvah, tzavtza, we're becoming one with Hashem, and kedusha, we're getting the kedusha al-yoina from the Eibishter instilled in us. Talking about shlichus. This is a fascinating, and this week in one of the magazines they had this fascinating story. You see this picture? Look closely. In the one side, you see the rulers and the sheikhs of Dubai, and who do you see on the other side? It's the Chabad house in Dubai. A picture of the Rebbe. You see the sheikhs with the shmatas on the head. Here is boxes from Bingo, from Moshe's Discount. They just arrived to the Chabad house from New York. In the one hand, in the Chabad house, you see a picture of the Rebbe, and the other hand, you see pictures of the three guys with shmatas on their heads. You know, the shmatas. So it's this is fascinating. Talking about being spies. Wow. But, you know, you've seen shluchim all over the world with all kinds of pictures. You know, you see but this is just a funny one with the three leaders of Dubai and the sheikhs of Dubai, and the other side of the picture of the Rebbe. There is a.
Are they at the same height?
No, the Rebbe is a huge picture. The other ones were smaller. I guess the owner of that the Chabad house thinks highly of the Rebbe and not so much of the sheikhs.
There's a guy, I don't want to step into the sikha, but there's a guy that is working in catering in Ballpark. I met him by the cleaner, so he told me that Dubai Arabs used to sell oil, but they have nothing. They sell a lot of money, but they need the money to make money, and they don't know what to do. They don't have a sechel for how to use the computer. They have no clue. They bought a crew from Israel to teach them how to use the computer, how to go into internet, and how to learn. They bought with them doctors, and now they bought the Shelach, and they bought the guy from Brooklyn to bring all the food, to make kosher food. So this whole thing is just for them, a class to teach them how to make money. Meanwhile, they gave the Israeli a lot of money, and all these people are willing to do it.
It's fascinating. And this is a long interview. But they says that the average person in these places, they think very highly of Israel. They really like Israel. It's they don't care this and that. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. The Eibishter made now a situation just like in the days of the Meraglim. There was a pandemic, and the Meraglim said it's crazy. Everyone's dying, but they didn't realize it was Chesed Hashem. Everyone was dying, so the news shouldn't be filled about the Meraglim. The news should be filled about the deaths. The world is busy now. There's pandemics. There is COVID ahin, COVID ahead. Israel could go and do what they need to do to put their sovereignty on Yehuda v'Shomron. The Chazal say the Pesach. Israel has never had a better opportunity, and now is the time. And now we're reading the parsha of the Meraglim.
I also said the whole world has Black Lives Matter. There's riots all over the world. The one place in the world they don't say the word Black Lives Matter is in Israel. You don't hear anything. Israel is the only place they don't say Black Lives Matter. We don't riot. Nothing. Gornish with Gornish. Don't even mention. The only place in the whole world.
The truth must be said that Israel worked very hard. As opposed to other places in the world, Israel had a very big deal. Yidden came, there were Sephardi, there was Ashkenazi, there was white Jews and black Jews, and it took a long time. Yidden worked very hard, and Israel worked very hard. In America, they've never scratched the surface of what the hard work that went on and goes on now in Israel. It's not the simple thing. There is, unfortunately, even in Israel, there's a lot of work to be done. But the Yidden have worked hard on it. Anyway, back to the Sikh. There is the din. The din is that every when a Yid makes a bracha, has to be over las yosem. Before you do the mitzvah, you have to make the bracha. Why is it so important? Over las yosem. It has to do actually. This morning, we were giving a shiur about this. That Gemara says that when you do a mitzvah, you have to over las yosem. Before you do the mitzvah, you have to make the bracha. Actually, in Yoredeya, there is in the Shach brings in Siman Gimel and Siman Yutes Sivkot Yud Gimel that there's a machlokes that Rishonim. The Rambam holds once you did a mitzvah, you can't make the bracha afterwards. The bracha has to be before. Other Rishonim say you could make the bracha after. But we paskin that a mitzvah, you must make the bracha before, unless it's an ongoing mitzvah. I'm still wearing the tefillin, I could still sitting in the sukkah, still wearing the tzitzis. But a mitzvah that once it's done, you can't make the bracha afterwards. There's a few exceptions, like a ger that tovels in the mikveh. He can't make the bracha while he's a goy, so he makes it later. Same thing, al natilas yadayim, that his hands are not clean yet, so he makes the bracha afterwards. So So in the Shulchan Aruch there says that if a person knows he's shechting an animal, that the animal is perhaps not kosher. So the Rama says that he shouldn't make the bracha before he shecht, because maybe it's a bracha l'vatala. He should do the shechita, and then he should afterwards make the bracha. And the Rabbi Akiva says, I don't understand. The Shacht says that the halacha is like the Rambam, that you can't make a bracha after you do a mitzvah. There is an exception. Heim amru v'heim amru. The Chazal said that every mitzvah you must make the bracha before. We gave an exception, 2 things. The exception is for the tfilas hager and for netilas yadayim. So what happened over here by Behemoth, that just because but that wasn't one of the exceptions the Chazal gave. Therefore, he argues against the Ramon against the Shach. And the Gra brings a Befeide Sharaya from the Yerushalmi that the halacha that Ramon says is right. That if it's a Behemoth, that you don't know if it's going to be kosher, you don't make the bracha before, you make it after. But the shaila is why. So I was thinking, based on what we were learning this morning, the Alter Rebbe says that a woman that lights a candle, so she can't make the bracha before, because the minig is that we make the bracha afterwards. The Alter Rebbe doesn't go into the fact that it's a halacha shaila, that some opinions hold that the Kabbalah Shabbos is through the actual lighting candle, and some hold that's through the bracha. Alter Rebbe just says the minig is that she doesn't make the bracha before, only after. Therefore she can't make the bracha before. So I think the pshat is like this. It's not that heim amru v'heim amru. They said that all the brachas you must make, all the mitzvahs you must make the bracha before. It's 2 mitzvahs after. They said you always have to make the bracha before, unless there is no choice. Unless there's no choice. What does it mean there's no choice? The Gemara talks about you go out of the mikveh. Obviously, the same things about netilas yadayim. If the minig is that the women only make the bracha after because they're choishish for the shita, that maybe the bracha itself is makabel Shabbos. So even if the halacha is not like that opinion, but the fact is that the women are choishish, are concerned for that opinion, and therefore they won't make the bracha before. So that means heim amru v'heim amru. Heim amru means they said that you always have to make the bracha and then the mitzvah. But if it's impossible, then you can make it after. What does it mean impossible? The behemoth is very sick. We don't know. Maybe it's treif. So then you could do it afterwards. The women are choishish for the opinion that once you make the bracha, you can't light the candle. Oh, so then make it afterwards. Heim amru v'heim amru doesn't mean they said always make the bracha before, besides 2 places we make the bracha after. They said, the pshat is, they said always make the bracha before, unless you have no choice. And when is it that they have no choice? The Gemara gave an example about the tfilas hager. But there could be any other thing, like netilas yadayim or blokas ner Shabbos, according to the minig of the women, that they're concerned that if they make the bracha, they can't light it anymore, or many other things. But we see that there is this thing in halacha that is a very important thing, that there has to be, that the bracha is oiver la'asiyasan. You have to make the bracha unless you have no choice. Chazal say we want you to make it before. Now Chassidus has a beautiful beer. What does it mean? Oiver la'asiyasan. Oiver means makif, and that the bracha, the mitzvah, brings down the makif and apnimi. But here the Rebbe is talking a lesson in pshat. That's because before you do a mitzvah, Yid has to know, what am I doing now? He has to send out his spies. He has to spy on himself. He has to send out his spies via surah to not if we could do a mitzvah, how we're going to do a mitzvah, and what's the gewalt of the mitzvah. Come back and bring the fruits and show how delicious the fruits are and how we're going to conquer. And before you do a mitzvah, you don't just jump into the mitzvah. Nicht azoi arangetanzt in the mitzvah. You make a bracha and you think about it. Asher kedushonu, that this is kedusha and this is mitzvahs of tzavtza v'chibur, and becoming one with the Eibishter himself. And therefore, it's critical that oiver la'asiyasam. Chazal say, and that's the halacha we pass like the Rambam, that a bracha must be oiver la'asiyasam. And if you didn't make the bracha before, you lost the bracha. An exception, if you couldn't do the bracha before, you can't. So then you could do it later. But that's the inyan of the meraglim. So the Rebbe says, L'choyre bazoi, why is it, if it's so important, if it's so important? So, and firstly, I understand why the name of the parsha Shelach Lecha, meraglim, because that's the Yesod and Avodas Hashem. The Yesod and the Shoyrish and Avodas Hashem is not if we can fulfill our life's mission. Oi, how am I going to do it? The Eibishter plopped on me now such a headache. How am I going to do it? I can't do it. And those are the things I can't do it. If the Eibishter built the machine, he knows they could do it. You have the koiches. You have to send the spies to figure out how to do it. And not only how to do it, to bring back the fruits to show how delicious it is. That this is kedusha and this is mitzvah. Okay, you got to send out the spies. Not if we could do it. How we can do it and how delicious it is. Why is it that the Eibishter says Shelach lecha l'daitcha ani eini metzavaloch? Why does it have to be l'daitcha? Why does it have to be l'daitcha? Why is the Eibishter not say the command? But this year in Tov Shalom and Beis, the Rebbe was we went through several of the sichas about the Eibishter wants that a human being should not only be a receiver, should be a giver, a creator. Not only a receiver, but also a giver. Not only a taker, but a creator. Therefore, the Eibishter made that a person is not happy b'kav tisha kav shel chaveiro. He wants kav shaloi. Why? Because the Eibishter wanted a person should create and be a shutaf l'kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. It's not enough that al yonim that the tachtonim yalu. There has to be. I'm sorry, not enough that the yonim yedol tachtonim. It has to be tachtonim yalu. Has to be that the people in this world become shutaf l'kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. The Eibishter wants that sometimes our mission alive should be l'daitcha. It's not so clear in the beginning. It's not so clear. But we have to figure it out on our own. The Eibishter wants, sometimes it's very nice when the Rebbe is sitting right in front of us and telling us exactly what we need to do. But sometimes the Eibishter says, I want that the Moshe Rabbeinu that's hidden in you should do l'daitcha. I want you to figure it out on your own. I want you to figure it out. It should be l'daitcha. Tachtonim yalu le'al yoinim. You should become a shutav l'kadosh baruch hu b'ma'aseh bereishis. And that's why, true, the name of the parsha is not Shelach lecha. That's a secondary point. The main point is Shelach, but it also has to be Shelach lecha. And the Rebbe adds to this a beautiful point. I mentioned this once. The Shulchan Aruch and the Alter Rebbe, when he wrote it the second time, years later when he was a Rebbe, in the opening statement of the Shulchan Aruch, he changed. In the first time he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, he says, he starts with Ari, is Gaber Kari, be strong like a lion, jump out of bed in the morning, and realize that the Eibishter is present. Why are you puffing? The Eibishter is waiting for you to get up. Get up, get up. The Eibishter is standing here. And when he rewrote the Shulchan Aruch years later, when he was at Rebbe, he did it the other way around. He wrote, first thing was, Az Kanemer. Don't have any busha from those that are laughing and scoffing at you. And then the next, if he writes, to be a giber kari, to get up with strength in the morning. Why is it the original Shulchan Aruch, he starts with giber kari and then he says as kanem? And the second time around, years later when he was at Rebbe, he did it the other way around. He wrote first as kanem and then giber kari.
Doesn't the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch begin with get up with strength?
Yeah, all the Shulchan Aruchs. The question is which one's first. Alter Rebbe, and the first time he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, wrote first is Gaber Kari, and then he wrote Eva Azkanemer. Second time he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, he started the other way around. Eva Azkanemer, be bold like a leopard, which means don't give a hoot to what the scoffers say. Don't care about the scoffers. And then he said, in the next sieve, be strong as a lion. So obviously he changed. He thought the order. So I'm going to say it loosely the way that Rebbe said it. That these are not exactly the words, but basically after being a Rebbe for many years, the Alter Rebbe realized that being strong as a lion is not the most important thing. The first problem that people have is Yevish Mipnei Amaligim. Oh, I became from the big Chassidim, became a big Yerushalayim. Oh, he grew a big beard. Oh, he only but you're only eating these hechsher. But he doesn't talk lashon hara all of a sudden. Oh, Papa. So the person is timid to make a further step higher in Avodas Hashem because Yevish Mipnei Amaligim. The Alter Rebbe came to realize that that's the problem. The most important, the first step in Avodas Hashem is Az Kanemer. The problem with the Meraglim word that they said Ephes Az Ha'om, not Az Kanemer, Az Ha'om. Az Ha'om. The Torah says, listen, we're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to hide the truth. True, there is Azham. True, they have Azus of Klippa. And therefore, we're not going to fool you. We're not going to tell you that this world is not that way. It's full of people that are maligim on the Eden. And full of the Eden, full of people that are going to be malig, that will scoff and laugh at you. And but a yid has to know efes azom, that he has to be the opposite. He has to be az kanemer, and that's the first step in avodas Hashem. So if we should wrap up the sicha, say azoi, that what's the lesson of the meraglim, and why is it the whole name of the parsha is Shelach? Because this is a critical step in avodas Hashem. The mistake of the meraglim was they thought that their mission included giving an assessment if we could do it. But that wasn't true. Their job was how we're going to do it. And when they came up with their own conclusion, they deviated from their shlichus, and it seemed a small thing, but really was a huge deviation of what their shlichus was. And that's why they fell from the highest of the high to the lowest of the low. A yid has to know, when they see in my life that the Eibishter put something on my plate, this is my shlichus and avodas Hashem, and the question is not if I could do it. Because the Eibishter built the machine, obviously it has the full power to do it. I have to send out the spies to figure out how to do it. Bring back the fruits, how sweet this mission that I got is. To feel the sweetness, and before every mitzvah, it's critical. Before I have to know that this is kedusha and this is mitzvah. And not only that, the spies I send out has to be shlach lecho ledaitcha. That the Eibishter says sometimes you have to figure it out on your own. And true, the shlichus is not an easy shlichus. The espionage is not an easy thing. And there is the first step in avodas Hashem, that there's maligim, efes azam. But the answer of a yid is that a yid has to be az kanemer, and this is the first step in avodas Hashem. We're standing now 2 weeks before Yom Elula of Gimel Tammuz. So obviously we're talking about Parsha Shelach, the shlichus. Every yid is a shliach. Every yid, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, has a Moshe Rabbeinu in him, and every yid is a shliach of Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm always fascinated with these stories of the Baal Shem Tov. I know that I recently told a story about the Toldos Yaakov Yosef, because I discovered that I'm a descendant of the Toldos Yaakov Yosef. But I was always fascinated with the story of the Toldos Yaakov Yosef, but I didn't know how close to home it was. But that the Baal Shem Tov came to the town where the Toldos was at Ov, and he got a good beating from the Toldos, because what's this guy doing telling stories while the people are not coming to my minyan? But the Baal Shem Tov and the kids, he didn't give up. He worked in it until the Toldos Yaakov Yosef became his Talmud. But there's a story in the Shivchei Baal Shem Tov, another story similar to this, the Baal Shem Tov style, that there was a Yida Talmud Chochem that lived in Mezhebush. He was hired as a Malamed by one of the Balabatim to teach his children. And this Balabas really didn't like the Baal Shem Tov, and he made a deal with the Malamed. Does this Malamed not going to ever step foot in the Beis Medrash of the Baal Shem Tov? And the Baal Shem Tov had a cheshik that this person should come. But Kedarka, the Baal Shem Tov, he wasn't, so he tried, but he wasn't going to pull him. Shlach lecha l'daitcha, has to be l'daitcha. But to happen to so much time had passed, and the Baal Shem Tov had such a cheshek to have to schlep this yid close to him, this Talmud Chochem. And there was at night, and a Leil Shabbos, where this person, this is the way the story is told in the Shivchei Baal Shem Tov, that the person was sleeping, and he's this Talmud Chochem in his mind, he's taking a Shabbos stroll through Mezhebush, and he gets out of town, and all of a sudden he sees a forest. He's never seen something so gorgeous. In the middle, there's a palace, and it's so beautiful. Every detail is like magnificent. Like sometimes you look at a structure, like dreamland. It's eye candy. And he's looking, and it's mamish eye candy, and he's looking, it's so beautiful. He says, if the outside is so beautiful, the inside must be even nicer. And he comes to the door, it's locked. He goes to the window, and he looks through the window, and he sees the Baal Shem Tov is sitting with his Talmidim. And he hears Divrei Torah, and they're mosuk medvash. It's mamish dripping with honey. And he puts his ear to the window, and he hears the kashis, and he hears the teretz, and he hears the whole Torah, and it's mamish. Never heard such Torah in his life. Never heard such geschmack Torah in his life. Never heard such a pshat on what's meraglim, on what's yosuru. The kemlish get azazach. So he gets out of bed, and he chazes over the Torah in his mind, and it's beautiful Torah. And he's like, it's just like he never had a dream like this in his life. It was the middle of the night. He went back to sleep. In the morning, he woke up, and he remembered the whole dream. But dafka, the divrei Torah, the kasha, the teretz, he forgot. And he was burning inside. He was going crazy. And the balabos, where he was staying in his house, says, I see there's something. What happened? You have a bad dream. We can make a tovas cholam. Says, finally, by Minchik, the Baal Shem Tov sent a Talmud to tell this Talmud Chochem that the Baal Shem Tov is requesting if he can please come to see the Baal Shem Tov. And he runs. He didn't even put on his jacket. He runs. And he comes to the Baal Shem Tov, and as soon as he comes, the Baal Shem Tov is sitting by Shalosh Shudas, and he's telling over a Torah. And he asks a kasha and another kasha, and gives a teretz. And when he finished saying the teretz, this person fainted. This is mamish, like word for word of what he heard in the dream. So when they revived him, Baal Shem Tov smiled. He said, "What's azoydei spies? Mele, if it was the first time you heard the Torah, it's not the first time you heard the Torah anyway. So what's azoydei spies?" So, you know, what's so beautiful about this story is that we see there's two. The Moshe Rabbeinu needs the Meraglim, and the Meraglim need Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That tzaddik, and we spoke about at Pesach time. That's the Baal Shem Tov started a thing that the tzaddik is nicht elend on the Talmud. There used to be the Rosh Hashiva and the Talmud were elend. Each one was lonely, but it's not that way. The Baal Shem Tov showed the deep connection that the Yidden have with the tzaddikim, and B'meila and the Manhigei Yisrael. B'meila that we need each other. We need each other. So the Moshe Rabbeinu needs the Meraglim, and the Meraglim need Moshe Rabbeinu. So now that we're coming close to Gimel Tammuz, we have to put our mind to it that we should, firstly in our own life, we should do our shlichus, that we should do, and we shouldn't think that the shlichus is too difficult. We should know that the shlichus is something not if we could do, but how we're going to do. The Eibishter will take a helfen that we should finally figure out how we're going to fulfill our ultimate shlichus to bring Mashiach Tzidkenu, take it from Yad Mamish.
Rabbi,
if you have Moshe
Rabbi, I had a question, Rabbi.
Sasson, yeah.
We said all the time Yetziat Mitzrayim, Pesach time, in Kriyat Shema, all the places that say Yetziat Mitzrayim. My question doesn't have to be Yetziat Bnei Israel. Mitzrayim did not went out from Egypt to the Midbar, got the Torah. Bnei Israel. So why we say Yetziat Mitzrayim and not Yetziat Israel, or Bnei Israel, or Yetziat Mitzrayim? Why is it Yetziat Mitzrayim?
Right. I hear. It's a good question. Perhaps if you would say Yetziat Bnei Yisrael, we would say maybe big Yidden. But the simple ones, that the lesson is not for them. So we say it, even if a person which is not such. Right, exactly. Even the Erev Rab. Every Yid can go out, and like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, that it's not every day is Yetzias Mitzrayim, b'chol yom v'yom. Every day a Yid goes out of the limitations that we have limitations, and we break the limitations every day. L'chaim, we should have our own Yetzias Mitzrayim.
Thanks,
Rabbi. I don't know if you mentioned, but years ago the Rebbe spoke about Kaf Gimel Sivan being a day of Et Ratzon, because in the Megillah it was written that the scribes wrote down everything that Mordechai said. For people ask what they need.
True. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Pinchas. I read about it today.
Emes Nochen Adover. Yes.
Everybody
So we all want to ask together that Vayikor Sefer Melech Ba'esehi B'chodesh Ashlishi B'shloisha Ve'esrim Yom Boi Kechol Asher Yikosev, that everything that was written for the good for the Yehudim that we ask, and we're all going to asking together by the Rebbeinu Shalom that in the last few moments of Golus, the Yidden, everything should be Ach Toy V'Chesed and Toy V'Nigla. They should make good shidduchim for their children and have easy time raising their children and easy time parnasa and time to sit and learn Torah and good health. They should be able to dedicate themselves in Avodas Hashem, and the ikir is that we should be zoichet to be as Mashiach Tzidkenu.
Amen. And everybody remember, Thursday it's the Tana Yonatan ben Uziel. That's a very, very big day.
Okay. Shkoyach.
I was start saying before, if Moshe Rabbeinu knew there's a problem, why did he send them? And if he is scared, why did he daven only for Yeshua? And more than that, Yeshua, that was one of the Meraglim, right, in order to go to Eretz Yisrael, and he was there, he know what's going on, and he didn't follow him. But when he himself was going to Eretz Yisrael, he did send Meraglim. You already were there, you know the trouble. Why did you send Meraglim? And there was the opposite. Over there, Yeshua success when he sent the Meraglim, when he went to Eretz Yisrael. This is one question. And another question, why he says, Shlach lecho anoshim. Why Moshe Rabbeinu didn't say, why the Rebbe didn't tell him, Shlach lecho anoshim, the women? Why dafka meraglim? Why not women? So the Kliyokar.
That's a Kliyokar. Kliyokar says he should.
He says, Shlach lecho, you want to do, you send anoshim. If it was my point of view, I'm going to send noshim. Why? Because the noshim in Mitzrayim, they are the one that brought the tupim and mcholot. They are the one that make the husband to have children. They did not believe in all this. So if they would go, they would have say we could go to Eretz Yisrael. They are the ones.
The women were busy diapering the babies.
No. They would have done the job.
Who's arguing? I have a question to ask the Rav.
But the answer for the Yeshua is when Moshe Rabbeinu given the name Yehoshua, he's davening that later on when you're going to send them Meraglim, you will be success. Not that Moshe Rabbeinu knows there's a problem, you only worry about Yeshua. The opposite. He's giving him koyach, they should be able to do it al pi teva. That like the story with the Alter Rebbe, he stopped the boat and then he made it the boat to go regular and then he asked her. So Moshe Rabbeinu was giving Yeshua dafka you because I know that you could do it. You know that the Rebbe wants us to go and walk with the nature in Teva and at Israel and you'll be able to do it. So he gave him a broche then that later on when you're going to go, take 10 shluchim and you will be success.
They're a shame.
Can I have a slight shaila? On Shabbos, we had this discussion. The shaila was raised to me by someone here, whether you must say, before you say Shema, a Birkat Torah. Now, of course, we have a minhag to do it together after we say brachas. But by and large, maybe not everyone does that. So the question is that when you do Kibbud Av V'Em, you don't make a bracha on Kibbud Av V'Em because it's a continual mitzvah. But isn't Talmud Torah a continual mitzvah? And so we say, but we nonetheless we say Birkat Torah when we say the brachas. So are we required to say the bracha Birkat Torah before we say Shema?
It's a good question. Do me a favor, text it to me, and we'll Mitzvah Shem cover it Wednesday night.
All right, I appreciate.
Are you going to be around?
Ezrat Hashem.
Okay, very good.
The question is why we send the biggest day every day. It's what you said once in life and that's it.
No, that wasn't the question. The question is, must you say Birkat Torah before you say Shema?
Of course. Of course.
We do. But the question is, from where? From where do we know it?
Oh, where do we know it?
David, you know the Meraglim, after the Meraglim came Koirach, and he made a mistake. He thought Abayas Molis for him, and he wondered if it's Chayiv b'mezuzah.
Oh, yeah.
You have a very nice, you're sitting in Abayas Molis for him, literally.
Right.
It has mezuzah.
It's few mezuzot.
But you have a bias Molis for him and plus a few mezuzahs.
By the way, Denver, very beautiful city. Small, but a nice community. But you can't go into anybody's house. Because
you were in Denver? You were in Denver?
Yeah, for Shabbos. Everybody is wearing a mask. You can't go into any of the houses.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. I in fact, when I called up the Hashkocha Protis, so I call up one of the Chabad houses in Denver before Erev Shabbos, and he says, you can't go into any of the houses. I'm not saying who it was because I'm not even sure, but he says I have 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, I have to go to a levaya. But he didn't say who it was. Of course, who would I know? I don't know anybody in Denver except my nephew. So I'm sitting in the airport this morning, and a woman across from me says, how do you spell siddur? Siddur. I told her, how do you spell siddur? So she told me what she's doing in Denver. Her brother was nifter, and she was here on Erev Shabbos for his levaya, the very levaya that the Chabad rabbi was going to in 2 minutes. Vashkacha Prot.
Yeah.
Tonight I heard there was a JLI. There's an organization called JLI. JLI is an organization that learning with people around the world. There are 8 languages worldwide. Tonight they celebrate 500,000 hours of learning.
Wow.
500,000 hours of
INJ?
JLI.
Oh, JLI, of course, Jewish Learning Institute. Right.
So tonight they have a dinner. And they're honoring the guy that's sick, but they celebrate 500,000 hours of learning Torah. What's the Rebbe accomplished?
Oh, the COVID, Dave Yehud Dukes.
Yes.
Coming to Fuhr Shleima. She have a Fuhr Shleima. Wonderful younger man. Zohana Fuhr Krev is a father of little Kinderlach. She have a Fuhr Shleima and come back home.
Amen.
Okay, Kol Tov Rabbi say a gute Nacht und a gute Sommer.
Thank you, Rabbi. Kol Tov.
By the way, Rav, I just want to tell you, the